Amazon is cracking down on product titles. They're about to suspend thousands and thousands of product listings. So in this video, I'm going to show you what you need to do and what you need to look out for to make sure that your listing isn't one of those ones that gets suppressed. I'll show you exactly what mistakes you need to avoid. I will show you how to dig down into the Amazon ecosystem, understand the terminology and the things that they're really looking for. I'll show you how to do all of that on the computer. And while we're at it, let's turn adversity into opportunity. Let's learn something new about the Amazon game, how to rank our keywords better, and therefore how to get more sales and make more money. By the way, if you're new here, welcome to the channel. My name is Myles. I sell about $2 million per year on Amazon, and this channel right here is all about teaching you everything that I've learned, everything that I'm learning, so that you can go from 0 to 6 or 7 figures as well. So let's get straight into it and learn how to avoid this listing suppression crackdown, as well as how to optimize our listing titles even further. So smash the like button, and when you're ready, let's get into it. So we're talking about listing suppression for improper use of titles. So let's just start with the fundamentals. As always, you need to understand the fundamentals, how the building blocks fit together before you can actually take action and either solve problems or make more money on Amazon. So the listing title, we're obviously talking about this right here, which is this text underneath the main photo in this search results. And in this case, I'm searching for coasters. So these little blocks of text right here, these are arguably the most important single piece of your listing content. And so it's absolutely critical that you get these right, because your listing is going to be by far the biggest thing that directly impacts, firstly, your keyword rankings, which defines what keyword searches you can actually show up for. And then secondly, your click-through rate. And then both of those things combined are ultimately going to define how many sales you get and how much profit you make. So there are actually two sides of this coin that you need to be optimizing for. And the first one is the ranking side or the indexing side, and that's Amazon. Does Amazon understand what your listing is about? What words actually define your product? And that is by large defined by your product title. That's the first side. That's SEO, that's algorithmic. And then the second side is the human side, and that defines, is your customer actually even going to click on your listing? If they never click, they can't look at your listing, they can't click the buy button, you can't make the sale. So we need to consider both of those things when we're optimizing our titles. Now, the actual issue that we're talking about today, the problem that's hit us that we need to deal with is this. So this has always been the case. Amazon hasn't actually changed its title guidelines, but what they have decided to do is to actively suppress any listings that don't meet their guidelines. And you can browse Amazon for not very long, for like 10 minutes, and you probably see a lot of listings that don't follow the title guidelines. So I'm going to explain what this notification is about, what it means. I will show you exactly how you can go and look up for your product or your category what your title guidelines actually are. And you can go and do this and follow along with the video if you want to. And then we'll go and look at how to actually make those changes to make sure that your listing fits into these guidelines while still being optimized. Remember, it's not just about Amazon, it's also being optimized for your customer. And Amazon is stating very clearly here there are certain things that they really don't want to see. And the first one is promotional keywords. So that's anything that's not related to the actual description of the product. So free shipping, quality guaranteed, best, things like that, those are promotional. And the next thing is non-readable characters like HTML characters. I went and had a look. I couldn't actually find any in the last couple of minutes, but you know what I mean? It could be emojis, it could be those, those crazy symbols. They do stand out, but they sort of harm the customer viewing experience. The third thing is the title to not exceed 200 characters. Now, this is sometimes, it can vary by category, but this is a general requirement. Generally, it's 200 characters. And you might see conflicting information about this. Amazon actually, I believe they posted this and it originally said 70 characters or something, and then they changed it back. But at the moment, it's 200 characters. And the last one is it actually has to identify the product. Now, the key thing with these guidelines is it's going to be your responsibility after this video is filmed, months later down the track, to keep up to date with Amazon's actual guidelines. And sometimes they're nice enough to give us this notification. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they'll just change the guidelines behind the scenes, and then you won't actually find out until, for example, your listing gets suppressed. So I'm going to show you what you need to dig into. This is what it is right now, but you need to go to the product title requirements, which you can find through here. You can also just go search on it on Amazon Help yourself and find it, but it's product title requirements. Now, again, this is not category specific. This is going to give you basic guidelines for, unless otherwise specified, all title requirements across Amazon. So it says 200 characters again. It gives you style guidelines in terms of capitalization. Obviously, don't use all caps. Now, all of these are around the actual customer side, right? So it's basically around making your title descriptive and readable and not sort of spammy or sleazy. So this page talks about the overall sort of generic Amazon requirements, but what you actually need to know are your category specific title requirements. And Amazon doesn't make this easy, guys, but again, it's pretty much our responsibility as sellers to follow all the rules. So if you click that link, it won't even take you to where you need to go. You need to go to this page, which again, I'll put the link down below, inventory file templates and BTG. I don't know what BTG stands for, but what you're looking for and what you can search for, if you can either type it into Google or into the Amazon help search bar, is the style guides. So these style guides will be by category, and you might find them out of date. I don't know, but in this case, it's still our responsibility. So let's go down to, here it is, and we're looking at the file templates style guides table. And I'm going to show you, or I'll go back to this coaster example, and let's just use this first result. These guys, and I've already opened this up here. These guys, Coaster for Drinks by TVO, whatever it is, absorbing stone coasters. So we're looking at this category, which is, it's home and kitchen. I think, yeah, we'll go with home and kitchen or kitchen and dining. And then we're going to go to this, and obviously whatever your category is, that's the category you're looking for. But in this case, we need to find our category. It's this one, home and kitchen. Right, so we're going to click that, which is the style guide. Back down. You can see they really don't make it easy, but again, got to do it. All right, so this is the style guide that defines not just title requirements, but a whole bunch of things for each category. And you'll notice this, you'll see that certain categories will have even different, the results will show up differently. Sometimes there'll be more results, sometimes there'll be less results. They will have differently formatted titles. If you go into the listings, you'll see sometimes the actual listing pages look different. That's all defined by these style guides because it does vary for each category. So we're looking at home and kitchen in this case, home, garden, and pets, they've called it here. And so you want to go down and just, in this case, we're talking about titles, but you also need to look at, your key product features, product descriptions, all of that. So titles in this case, they will show you what the specific category requirements are for your title in your particular category. Now that's not all. You can look at this and this will generally correlate to this other general requirements, but you actually need to look at the Appendix B. In this case, it's Appendix B. Follow the links if you have a different document for a different category. So down here, and I think this will actually be the same across the different style guides, but have a look for yourself and see what it looks like on your end for your category. But in this case, we've got a bunch of the categories and then the example title formatting. Now, I'm going to be straight up and say that probably my products right now probably don't exactly match this title formatting. And if you look back at this example for coasters, I will draw this out in a minute, but most of these don't really, some do, and some don't follow this formatting. Now, this may or may not be a problem, but as we've said, Amazon is cracking down on listings that don't meet these requirements. So if you want to know if your listing does get suspended or you want to prevent it from getting suspended, here's how. It's that simple, or not that simple, is to follow these documents until you get to this proper appendix, which shows you the title formatting, making sure that you're following all of these guidelines as well as the category specific guidelines, and then formatting your title according to this format. So, and I'm going to, by the way, I'm going to provide my caveat here, which is I personally believe that the crackdown, according to this news article and what Amazon is saying they're going to be doing, I believe that the listing suppressions will only be for these main points they mention, okay? So let's hop back to Amazon and take one of these ASINs, and we'll just use it as a working example as to how you can take a non-compliant ASIN and turn it into being compliant and making sure that it won't get suppressed. I'm going to show you some cool tools that I use to do this personally in my own business. Firstly, when setting up the listings and optimizing in the first place, which I'm not going to cover in this video, but I also use these tools on a daily basis to actually check my listings and make sure that there's, nothing has changed, nothing has gone wrong with them. And if anything does happen or does change, or a listing gets suppressed or something like that, I'm not just relying on me finding out about it somehow. I actually have a system in place to make sure that I get identified like this, and I can immediately fix the problem. Of course, prevention is the best form of treatment, but these things happen. I've got lots of products, and so what I want is a good tool and a good system in place to prevent it as much as possible. So I'm going to show you that now, and let's use, I've been looking at this example, so I'll bring that up here. These coasters, nice colorful coasters by TVO is the brand. And the tool that I'm going to be showing you is Helium 10. On my channel, I've talked previously about Viral Launch and Jungle Scout. Haven't shown you much about Helium 10, but this software is actually getting really good really quickly, and I've been using it more and more recently in my own business. So in this case, we're going to be using Scribbles, Index Checker, Keyword Tracker, and Alerts. So 4 different tools. And by the way, if you stay until the end, I'll show you how to get this just a little bit cheaper than you might otherwise get it. So let's pull this listing into Scribbles. Here we are, and you can actually import any listing. So whether it's your own listing or competitors' listings or whatever else, it's actually really nice to just pull in competitors' listings as well, so you can play around and see how it's all fitting together. That is not ASIN, so I want that. Copy that in, apply, and this will pull in all of that listing data that you see on Amazon. Now it's going to be copied into here in a second, and there you go. There's no issues with these, I think, major problems. It is 130 characters it was, which you can see right here. So it's a bit grayed out. It's maybe a bit hard to see, but they will actually show you the character count, characters, bytes, and words. And bytes and characters will normally be pretty much the same, except for some funny symbols. There's a slight difference. But anyway, that's okay. They're doing that okay. They don't have any HTML characters. The title's okay. So really this title is okay by this guideline. So there's nothing actually to do there, but what I want to do is just show you what it should look like if you want to be completely compliant. So I'm going to bring this up right here. And remember, depends on your specific category. So in this case, coasters will fit into kitchen and dining, and then all other. So I'm just going to copy this and work off it here. So let's just start making this correct. First of all, brand name needs to go up front. So they had it, which is good, but they didn't have it at the front. And then piece count. Now, I wasn't actually sure about this, but just looking back here, the example that they've given is Linux. It's a 5-piece. So in this case, that's not relevant. So we don't need the piece count. So we've got brand name, piece count, irrelevant. Descriptive adjectives. That's basically any words that are describing the product. So that's like all of this stuff, except for size, color, and pack set. So I'm assuming that these guys have optimized their listing, and this isn't a listing optimization video. I'm assuming that you have your listing title already set up, you've done your keyword research. So I'm going to take the assumption here that these guys know that these keywords are the best keywords for their product. But again, like I said before, this isn't just a matter of adversity, it's a challenge. We need to not get our listing suspended. This right now is an opportunity to actually improve our listing. So if over let's say the last month or couple of months since launching your product, you have been monitoring your PPC data, maybe following my PPC process, my tutorial, and you recognize that there are actually certain keywords that you didn't expect to find to be really important keywords, but they're performing really well in your PPC campaigns. They have great conversion rates, or they're just driving lots of sales, and they're not yet in your title, then you definitely want to consider putting those keywords into the title now. And in this case, I think if we remove this, again, they only have 136 characters, maximum 200. So they could easily add in a few of those keywords that, since originally setting up the listing, they've discovered to be really valuable ones. Keep in mind, again, you will have your listing de-indexed and then re-indexed, so you will see a keyword ranking drop, and I'll show you how to monitor that in a second. But if you've got new keywords that are really, they're really giving your listing some power, they're making you a lot of money, then now's the time to put them in there. But again, I'm assuming these guys have done it all right. So, descriptive adjectives, this is all of this. And by the way, those characters that Amazon was talking about here, non-readable characters such as HTML characters, where are we? As we can see, they're still using the dashes and the commas. So dashes and the commas are fine. If you're wondering that, no worries. So I would leave that in here, although I don't need that. Coasters for drinks, and you could maybe change that to a comma. Remembering, of course, that while we're doing this from the purpose of having the right keywords towards the front for Amazon's ranking purposes, algorithmic purposes, the secondary and probably, I'd argue, more important purpose is to be readable and be understood by the customer so that your product stands out as the product they want. So again, this needs to be readable. People are actually buying the products, not robots. So whatever it needs to be, make sure it's readable. So in this case, coaster for drinks, absorbing. again, I don't know this niche. I would probably change that to absorbent stone coasters, depending on what people are searching for, with cork base, stone coaster set, suitable for kinds of mugs and cups. I don't really like that. Suitable for kinds of mugs and cups. Probably is meant to say all kinds, but again, that just comes down to the individual keywords in this listing or in this niche. Set of 8, and there is colors aren't listed here. Now, in this case, if you look back down to this this article, variation relationships are an additional level of complexity. So you've got different titles for each variation, child variation within your listing. What they say here in Amazon's guidelines to, again, avoid any potential suppression is to include the variation attributes in the title for the child ASIN. Now, in this case, they actually have a color variation, and I don't think they've put it in here. So you'd say like assorted colors would be the one that I think I would add. So let me go back. Size and color. So size we don't need, and pack and set we've got set of 8. I would just add that, in there to be completely compliant and also to be more descriptive. So if somebody's looking and let's say they don't see the photos, they want to know what the color is, they can see in the title what color it is, assorted colors, it's a mixture. And the other one was white, I believe. So this listing is now compliant. The one last thing that I would check is, I think, capitalization. Where are we? Capitalization, the first letter of each word, no all caps, conjunctions and articles, and prepositions not capitalized. This is really getting down into the weeds, but it makes a difference in terms of readability. And that's why they've set these rules. So I think, I'm gonna take a quick look. I think that, and set should probably be capitalized. I'm gonna capitalize set. I'm just gonna add that in there. I'm assuming that's what they really meant. Suitable for all kinds of cups and mugs. Set of 8. So these guys they actually started off with a really well optimized listing. Title, sorry. There wasn't much to do here, which is good. All right, and while we're here, I wanted to show you some functionality of the Scribbles tool. So whether you've used it to originally set up your listing or whether this is your first time looking at it, it is a really cool tool. So I'm just gonna reset this. So first of all, let's start with a blank list. And this is the listing that we set up before. Now, what we can do if we want to make this easier for us to see which keywords are the most important, which ones do we want to focus on, which ones have we missed out, which ones do we still have to put into the listing, what you do is just go edit list, or if you come into Scribbles without having done this, it'll just show up with this empty form, and then let's chuck in some keywords. So again, I'm not doing this as an exhaustive list. This is just an example of 4, and this keyword wet coaster, I'm going to assume is just completely made up. I just wrote that in there, so that's probably not a real keyword, but these 3 I took from the title. So what you do once you have this list of keywords that you want to make sure that you're including and you want to see where they are as well, go apply, and Scribbles will actually show you where those keywords are. Now there is an extra cool little thing that I didn't even realize until recently, but these colors, they're actually related to search volume. So you can see here it breaks it down into words and phrases. Now, personally, I think the jury is out on whether you should focus on single words or whether you should focus on phrases. And what I mean by that is, here, for example, stone coasters and stone coasters is duplicated. If you were short on words in your title, if you're pushing that 200 limit or you're pushing whatever the limit was, I don't think that you need to necessarily duplicate phrases like this because it's the same words repeated. But I can tell you that sometimes when you have different phrases, certain ones may index and certain ones won't, even though the individual words may be the same. So in this case, because these guys, they only had, now they're up to 153 characters, still 50 characters left. So in this case, it's fine for them to duplicate the words in different phrases. That was one thing. So this Scribbles splits it into words and phrases. So you can see this is just the individual words. So if you just had a big long keyword list of actual words, then you'd get this big long list here, and you could see which ones are included and which ones are missing. If it's crossed out, you've included it. The number above the word is how many times it is actually repeated. So obviously coaster is repeated, but that's by far the most, the biggest keyword around which all the phrases will be constructed. So that's okay. And same with phrases. But the cool thing is this search volume. So obviously Helium-10, they do search volume estimates already within the software elsewhere. But this is actually a new addition or relatively new. if you want to filter and see which ones are the biggest search volume keywords or keyword phrases, both are shown, then you can just change this and you can actually link these. And as you pull this up, it's going to start excluding the lowest volume keywords. And obviously wet coaster, I just made that up. It doesn't exist. So that gets excluded first. And then you keep going until you just have the highest volume keywords. So, I mean, these guys, again, they've done a good job. Coaster for drinks, which is the single most highest volume keyword out of these ones anyway. That is the one at the front, which is great. So that's Scribbles. Now we've got a compliant listing title that we know, if we've set it up correctly, is not going to get suppressed, and it's going to be Amazon compliant. And potentially we've also taken the opportunity to add in new keywords that we've identified, whether through real PPC data or alternatively we've redone some keyword research and we wanted to make some adjustments. So we've got the title. The next thing to do would be to go into your Amazon listing and just plug in this new title. However, and you could export this, by the way, I won't do that now. However, there are two things that I want you to set up before you make changes to your title. Like I said, when you change the title, you get de-indexed and re-indexed. And so what you might see will, if this goes well, normally what you'll see is a drop in your keyword rankings and it'll bump back up. But firstly, are you actually monitoring your keyword rankings? It is pretty super important to be able to see this stuff happen over time. So the tool that we're going to use now is Keyword Tracker. I'm going to hop over to this page. I think I'm going to have to blur it, but this is what I want to show you, which is just an example of a real keyword that I've been tracking for a pretty long time. And what you will probably see when you change your title, or what you may see is this, which is, a keyword that's not doing very well anyway. It's position 55, but then over a short period of time, it actually drops all the way down to 200 and something. Basically, it's not there, and then it drops out, and then it's just in the last couple of days started to come back up. And using this tool, you can look at different time periods, whatever else. You can export it if you want to, but that's the key thing you want to look for, is it'll drop, and you want to know about that. If you see your sales go down, it's probably because one of your keywords has fallen off a cliff. It's either de-indexed completely, which is where there's just a big gap, or it's just really tanked in rankings, and both can happen when you change your title. But you want to see that come back up quickly. If it comes back up quickly, it means Amazon understands the changes you've made. It hasn't cut out any keywords, any important keywords, and maybe it's added in new keywords as well. So I can't show you this because it's got all my products behind it, but basically you go to the keyword tracker in Helium 10, add in the keywords before you add them into the title, so that when you do add them, you can see and confirm what the rankings are over time. And it's really interesting to see this data for these keywords. So that's the keyword tracker. The next thing is just the index checker. So this is a instantaneous thing that you can do after you've changed your listing. You can do this to get a real-time update of how it's going. You can again just plug this ASIN in. Go here. And whatever the keywords were that you added, or let's say every single keyword in your master keyword list, you just plug that in there. You can remove duplicates and maintain phrases and just click check keywords. And it's the same one I just did. So I'm just going to say no. It takes a little time. It'll run it, and then you get the results. So what you want to see is within probably a day or two after updating your listing, all of those keywords that you put in your listing, you want them, and including all the backend and everything else, you want them all to be ticks. You want them to be indexed. Now Helium 10, they've changed this as well recently, but as long as you're getting ticks in one of these columns, and I think it'll normally be the cumulative, is considered partially successful. Yeah, so basically if it is indexed at all, according to any of these three methods, you'll get a tick in the cumulative. So if you get a tick, then you're indexed. And that's what you want to see. And again, temporarily that might drop out and it should come back in again. Now, the last check that I wanted to show you, the last cool tool to make sure that whatever happens with your listing, whatever suppressions Amazon tries to do to other listings around you, firstly, you've set it up to prevent them. But secondly, if something does happen, you get notified about it immediately. So this is using the alerts tool, which is Hijacker and product monitoring. So we go and check out this. I'm probably gonna have to blur this as well, I think. But what you wanna do is firstly go into the settings up here, let that load, and then set up your notification settings according to whatever change you wanna be alerted about. So the main ones that might happen are buy box lost in one. So if the buy box gets lost, often that happens when you are adjusting prices, or if you get a hijacker, so I tick them. Number of sellers changed. I mean, buy box is really the important one. Price, dimensions, all of that. These can also be relevant for wholesalers. But the one that we're talking about right now is listing suppressed. So if something happens to that title, whether or not you've changed it and the listing gets suppressed, then you want to tick this box and make sure that you get a notification as soon as it gets recognized on Amazon. The only other thing, SMS notifications, they are really cool, but you need to upgrade if you want to use it. So if you have the next upgraded plan, definitely I would turn that on to get more instantaneous notifications. And then you just add your email address there. So that's the settings. And then we go back to the actual alerts. And all you have to do for your particular product on this list, just click this on, monitoring enabled. And now if anything does happen, again, it shouldn't, but if anything does, then you will get notified about it instantaneously. And that's really it. So I hope I've armed you with more knowledge and more power to up your Amazon game. I was going to give you the discount. So if you want to get Helium 10, then I will put the link down in the description down below, or you can use this code. I might maybe put it up here or not. I don't know. It's a really cool tool. I highly recommend it if you haven't already used it. That's about it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. If you haven't already, I hope you smash that like button. Make sure to subscribe with the notification bell if you want more videos like this. And lastly, if you want to step up your game even further and you want comprehensive step-by-step Amazon FBA training, then make sure to check out my video course. That's in the link in the description down below. That'll get you private access to me and my mastermind as well. So I'm going to leave you with another video right here. If you enjoy this one, you get value out of this one too, and that is how to optimize and fix an Amazon FBA product that isn't selling. So I hope to see you there. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Peace.